The waterfalls of San Luis Potosí have been on our bucket list since we first started dreaming of our Pan-American adventure. The first 4 months of our journey through Mexico were marked by scorching heat of the dry season. And as the days grew even hotter in central Mexico, we were so looking forward to finally jumping into fresh water and the promise of the upcoming rain to cool things off. But what we weren't expecting was just how fast things can change when the tap turns on. The start to rainy season was going to challenge us in ways we never expected. It would make us question if we were built for this kind of expedition, if we had the stamina or the guts to see it through. Was this adventure even worth the struggle?
So we got ourselves into a bit of a jam.
We were about to learn that overlanding through Mexico in the rainy season is not for the faint of heart, but that perseverance has its rewards. When we last left you, we were ending our visit in Guanajuato, a colorful and busy little city that taught us the true meaning of urban hiking. We had an incredible time exploring the steep and winding streets and gorging ourselves on delicious food. But after a week of city camping, we were once again craving nature and adventure, and we had our sights set on San Luis Potosí. As we made our way east out of Guanajuato, the landscape changed dramatically. The dry, rocky hillsides that we had become accustomed to gave way to luscious green rainforests and moody skies, and the air became heavy and dense with moisture. It seemed we were finally about to see the effects of green season here in Mexico. On big drive days, we try to leave early and give ourselves enough time to get to our next camp spot with plenty of daylight to spare. But Google Maps isn't always the most reliable when it comes to ETAs in Mexico, so what we thought would be a roughly 6-hour drive turned into about 9, and we ended up rolling into our camp spot way after dark. On these occasions, we always end up going to sleep feeling a little uneasy and wondering what the area will look like when we finally see it in daylight. When the sun finally rose, our fears from the night before were quickly eased. We were in for an absolute treat with this camp spot. Our own little private camp right along the river, with nobody around for miles. And as the humidity and heat of the day came in full force, a swim was exactly what the doctor ordered. We had finally made it to La Huasteca Potosina, a region that boasts some of Mexico's biggest and most famous waterfalls, and rivers so milky blue that they appear to be running with Frost Glacier Freeze Gatorade. Or maybe it's more of a cool blue? So we came across this incredible oasis that we camped at last night, and it is just like beyond beautiful and peaceful, and we have private access to this river that we've been swimming in, and it's one of the better finds that it might be the best spot we've found so far in mainland camping wise. But when you look closely, there's trash everywhere, and this is something that just like makes both of us really angry that people can come and enjoy a place like this and then just leave their trash behind. So yeah, it makes us really angry, but it also means that there's something that we can do about it. And so we're gonna do a little cleanup, especially in places like this that are public access and we didn't pay anything to stay here. Kind of think of this as like our little fee for enjoying a place like this. And we hope that you guys will do something similar. If you go to a campsite and it's trashed, don't be above picking it up because it'll make it better for the next person. And that's what we're here to do.
Finding trash left behind at a beautiful campsite is a problem that we've found all over our travels. It's not an issue that's limited to a certain region or country, but unfortunately seems to occur everywhere we go. This is one of those things that really gets us down about humanity, but it's why we choose to take action. And you can take action too, right now, without even leaving the couch or exiting this video. Starting now, for every like or comment on this video, we'll commit to picking up one piece of trash along our travels. It's our way of not only saying thanks to you for watching, but also thanks to the planet for giving us this adventure of a lifetime.
It's not overlanding if you're not using your Treacherous, right? Probably strap the other one like to the top of the bikes.
Yeah.
We recognize that small actions like this may not change the world, but it makes us feel good to know that we've left another spot better than we found it. After one last jump in the river to clean off, we left our campsite in search of a grocery store on the way to our next destination. Looking at maps and satellite images, it looked like we could continue on our route through the sugarcane fields and pop out right into the middle of the next town. We were only a few miles away, so we figured if this road didn't actually go, we could just turn around and backtrack out to the main road, the way we originally came in. Sounds like a great plan, right? We were about to learn how fast things can change when Mother Nature strikes. We were just around the corner from town when suddenly the skies turned dark. And as if someone flipped a switch, rain was coming down in buckets. It was just then that we realized our path was blocked by a huge boulder that made the trail too narrow for our big truck. And our hopes of turning around were dashed when we found that the dirt track below us was now a slippery, muddy mess. Our wheels were spinning, but we weren't moving.
So we got ourselves into a bit of a jam. We were trying a different way back, and all was good until the very last turn, when it looks like this, and the rain came, and now we are stuck. We're gonna let air out of the tires and think about what the next step is. All right, so our path is blocked by this rock here. ¿Cómo te llamas? Francisco? Francisco is helping us, and we're gonna try to winch this rock out of the way. And the road is literally right there, and Francisco, his family runs this farm, and he says it's fine if we winch that out of the way. Okay.
Vehicles with a shorter wheelbase may have been able to squeeze around this rock and make the tight right turn. But Sally is a long bed crew cab F350, and our turning radius is probably our biggest weakness when it comes to off-roading. There was no way we were making this turn without doing some heavy lifting. We figured if we could move the largest rock out of the way, we'd at least have a shot at making it out of this field. But unlike using the winch to extract yourself out of a sticky situation, moving debris requires lots of angles and extra equipment to actually remove it from your path. Just sliding the rock forward meant that it was even more in our way. So it was time to take out every last strap and shackle and pulley in our arsenal.
All right, so the plan is we're gonna try to pull it across. We're gonna try to pull it that way.
The rock?
Yeah.
Okay.
With some pulleys. We can get the right angle.
This is insane.
I know. But we're not going to be able to turn around.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of our best option. Pulling out the dead man.
You have barbed wire, careful.
Oh no.
In the mud?
If we get out of here, we're going to be like today.
Now it's really
Heck
moving.
yeah. Is that good?
I think now, yeah, because that's the limited factor now.
All right.
Rain's letting up a little. Well, finally use the dead man.
Yeah.
After successfully moving the boulder, we knew our troubles were far from over. In the hour or so that we had been stuck, the mud and water had gotten so deep that it was unlikely our 12,000-pound truck was going anywhere on its own. But hey, you've got to try.
Let's give it a try. It's going to be hours of cleaning up anyway.
Yeah.
Our winch was getting a proper workout, as now we would need it to drag ourselves forward and hopefully up onto the road. Also, if you haven't noticed by now, most of the neighborhood kids had made their way out to watch the chaos. We're glad we could provide them some entertainment, but watching them slipping and sliding around with huge smiles on their faces also gave us some very much needed comic relief.
Because we need to come this way.
Yeah. I can try. I might just try and send it. Just you keep an eye on this corner.
Okay, I'm gonna come over this side.
With the wheel, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, true. I didn't. You looked closer to it than you are. I didn't realize. Yeah. Yep. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Yes. Okay. There's some adults now.
With lots of small movements, adjusting and readjusting the cables, and inching ourselves forward one tire rotation at a time, we eventually made it up over the muddy rise. But now we were still left with the challenge of turning the truck onto the road. This would require moving more rocks, winching from a different angle, and finally pulling ourselves free of the mud's grip.
Alright.
Yeah, you're okay right now. Yep. A little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, stop. Do you see this little one, Dana? Yeah. So cute.
Remember what we said about this being a really tight turn and how we have a really long turn radius? Well, now everyone, including the town dogs, were invested in our success, and we were finally getting close to getting out.
Good. Yeah. You got it. Woohoo!
So we made it out. It's 3:30.
Yeah.
That was 3 hours. Okay. So we had a team of like 7 boys helping us get out. And then eventually a few adults came to supervise a little bit and help with some extra tools. But man, that was something. It was seriously like the perfect storm of timing, because if we would have reached that point when we really couldn't have gone forward without moving rocks, when it wasn't pouring rain, and we would have just been able to back out, turn around, no big deal. We do this all the time, right? You find a closed road. But because it started pouring right then, we couldn't go backwards anymore. And the whole road that we had just come on was flooded because that was a really intense rainstorm. So we really had to winch all this stuff out of the way. But as always, the folks around here are so friendly and so willing to help. They were so nice. They brought us rock bars to help pry and an extra rope, and all of them got soaked in mud and didn't care. They were smiling the whole time. I'm sure it was pretty fun for them. And then at the end, we made some friends with the adults, and they took us over to their place, and we washed our recovery gear out a bit so we didn't have to put it away. Super disgusting. So thank you. Thank you to all of the folks who helped us, and we gave y'all stickers, so hopefully you found us and you watched this tomfoolery that we just made happen. We appreciate you, and sorry.
Like, I've never seen that much water come down in such a short period of time. That was insane. We're disgusting, but we still need to go into a grocery store, like, really desperately. So we're going to be the dirty Americans who are just walking around this town.
Nobody got hurt. No gear was broken. So, yeah, we learned from it. I don't know what I would do next time differently. I mean, I think we just got unlucky there.
We did get unlucky.
But
first time we actually have to fully use our winch. It was a good one to use all the different pulleys and levers.
Yeah.
And
I may know what else I need to buy. I need a second pull ring. And maybe another soft shackle. And maybe a long chain or another tow strap to lengthen things out, because we were at the end of the winch rope and our extension.
we used it all. Every single piece in our recovery kit, except the traction boards. We actually didn't pull those out, but woof. All right. Hungry, dirty.
Let's go get food and then find a river to jump in.
Yeah, we need to go swimming really badly.
The thing about this lifestyle is that when something like this happens, you don't just have a clean, dry house to go back to with a stocked fridge and a warm shower. There's no chill night on the couch or takeout pizza to unwind after a stressful event. You just have to get back on the road and keep going. Restock the fridge and the diesel, and then make sure you're getting someplace safe before dark. And since this happened only a few miles into our driving day, it meant we still had a lot left ahead of us. Pointed south towards our next destination, still wet and muddy from the day's events, we dreamed of what might be coming next. And tomorrow, we're chasing waterfalls. The next morning, after a restful sleep in the parking lot, we awoke excited to explore our first waterfall, Cascadas de Minas Viejas. One of the tallest and most well-known falls in the region, with a drop of over 50 meters. Many of the waterfall attractions require you to wear life jackets in the water for safety, though we couldn't help but laugh that it was often getting down to the river that proved to be the most dangerous part of the day.
Slippery, steep, and in a bit of disrepair, these steps led us down to the bottom of the falls and to some of the most beautiful natural swimming pools we've seen yet. I don't know what it is about a waterfall, but it seems to bring out the little kids in us. You'll probably notice that as this video progresses. We basically spent the rest of the day finding stuff to jump off of. This place was just one giant natural playground, and it was just the start of our tour to Waterfall that we had planned for the rest of the week. The next day, we awoke to cloudy skies and light rain, but that wasn't about to stop us from heading to our next destination, Cascada El Aguacate. I don't know if this is a less popular spot or if the rain kept visitors away, but we had the entire place to ourselves. One great thing about these spots is that most of them will allow you to camp overnight in their parking lot for a small fee. Access to electricity, showers, and an amazing waterfall to explore feels like we hit the overlanding jackpot.
This is wild.
A little bit sketchy.
Whoa. Don't look down.
Remember when I mentioned sketchy stair access? Well, this might take the cake. Built into the side of the cliff, these wobbly spiral steps were the only way down to the waterfall.
Tightening my chalk. Wow.
This is making me a little dizzy.
When we finally got to the bottom, we saw the extreme force at which this river was moving. Maybe this should have been our first hint that our waterfall days were numbered, but at the time it didn't register that this wasn't necessarily normal. The rain we had been seeing recently, the rain that caused us to get stuck on our second day here, was just the beginning. But you know what they say about hindsight, so in the moment, we just enjoyed having this beautiful oasis all to ourselves.
This is sweet. There's literally no one else here. We paid to get in, but other than the bridge down there, it feels so natural and just peaceful, quiet. Amazingly beautiful. Wow. So cool. That was fun.
You don't get my life insurance if you drown me.
Life insurance.
Once we had our fill of swimming and exploring, it was time to head back up those treacherous stairs to the truck, where we would spend a peaceful evening relaxing, working, and planning another waterfall visit for the next morning.
We made it.
In the morning, we started our drive towards Cascadas de Micos, another tourist destination that was only about an hour and a half away through sugarcane fields and small villages.
Traffic, man. Upon arrival to Cascadas de Micos, we once again donned our required life jackets and made our way down to the river. Earlier, we had reveled at the intense and beautiful shade of blue that these rivers all seem to flow with. But now, at our fourth stop, and after a week of consistent rainfall, this river was much less vibrant and clear, and the water level was high enough that it was threatening to overflow many of the walkways that took us to the swimming spot. Though the impact of the recent rain was obvious, we certainly were not the only visitors here enjoying the Cascades. In fact, tour buses full of adults and children were spilling into the area. This reinforced our belief that though it wasn't peak tourist season, it wasn't abnormal to come here during the rainy months. It seemed that even with the slightly less beautiful water, there was still plenty of fun to be had. After another fun day of playing in the water, we decided to spend the night sleeping in the parking lot. That evening, the rain was heavy and relentless, and we awoke to a completely different scene. Flying the drone over the falls that we had been swimming in only hours before, we saw that the entire area had flooded. And now, due to increased safety concerns, the entire place was shut down to tourism. A few days earlier, a Category 3 hurricane had made contact with the southern Pacific coast of Mexico. Though we were hundreds of miles away from where it made landfall, and definitely not in any danger from the storm itself, the residual moisture from Hurricane Eric was about to impact our travels all the way over here in San Luis Potosí. Though this wasn't a great sign for our continued exploration of the region, we wondered if we could wait out the storm and potentially see the water levels lower over the next few days. We had our eyes on another wild riverside spot that, on the map, looked like it could be a great place to camp while we waited for river conditions to potentially mellow out.
A free wash of our undercarriage before we get it nice and dirty again.
By the late afternoon, we had tucked ourselves between the sugarcane and the river, excited to have found this little hidden campsite after a few days of sleeping in parking lots. But once we got out of the truck and started to set up, we realized that maybe it wouldn't be the smartest idea to position ourselves near this raging water, that, the more we watched it, seemed to be rising by the minute.
Normally this water is blue and relatively clear and probably 5 feet lower, but look at that tree out there. So it's 7 o'clock and we are driving again because we checked the weather forecast for the area and there was almost 3 inches of rain forecast over a 3-hour period tonight. And the river was already absolutely ripping. There were like full-size trees going down the river. And we were worried that it was gonna overflow its banks or even just undercut the banks and take us into the river, or even just make the ground so soft and spongy that we wouldn't be able to get out from that sweet spot that we had found. So we are moving, and hopefully we're not going to actually end up driving after dark, but it is approaching sunset here. And it's a bit of a bummer. The water's really nasty looking. It looks like chocolate milk, very different from what it looked like a couple days ago. So I think that might be our last swimming opportunity, at least for the time being. I think we're probably going to keep on moving to somewhere else tomorrow, assuming that we get as much rain as is forecast. Always an adventure, trying to be as smart as we can and not make dumb decisions. So for us, the safer option was to drive potentially after dark versus getting swept away by a river, obviously.
Leaving that campsite marked not only a decision to change our plans for the next few days, but for the entire course of our trip. We had planned to spend a lot more time weaving through the Huasteca Potosina region, as there were still several more waterfall sites that we had on our bucket list. But this weather was not about to suddenly clear up, and the rivers were not going to become clear and vibrant again, at least not in the time that we could afford to wait it out. That night, we found refuge in a nearby village community space and slept peacefully knowing that we were on higher ground while inches of water fell overnight. With our travel plans now completely up in the air, we pored over maps and tried to find a route out of the region that would give us a little adventure, something to make up for the loss of the one we were bailing on now. So we set our sights on a waterfall that was in a completely different state and region. One that, to get there, promised an overlanding route through the rugged mountains of the East Sierra Madre Range. We would spend the next 3 days traversing these mountains. Only about 230 miles, but slow driving as we wound our way through these dense forests, popping in and out of thick cloud cover. We imagine that we missed some pretty majestic views hidden behind the mist. Just another reason to come back someday.
Why are you counting your money?
We finally found a mango stand. It's like we're right in the spot of Mexico right now where the mangoes are ripe, and I love mangoes. So I think we're going to buy as much mango as this will get us, and then we're going to chop them up and put them in the freezer so that we can eat them for breakfast and smoothies every day. You can get a bulk discount.
Do it.
I don't think he knows how to say bulk or discount in Spanish, so we'll see how that goes. he's going for bag number 2. Struggling with bag number 2. Oh my god, 3 bags.
Well, okay.
The third one was hidden. I thought you only had 2.
Well, I didn't know. Okay, so there's like these boxes that she has pre-prepared that I think are a better price. And so I was pulling from one of those, and I was like, I'll get 1 bag from that and then 1 bag of the other type of mango. Turns out you have to buy all of the things in the pre-prepared box. So she's like, you have to buy this other. So I essentially bought double what I was planning to buy. But this was all $10
Whoa.
for this many
Probably
mangoes.
$100 worth of mango in
Yeah.
the US. Wow.
And they're so good. They're just perfect. They're all ripe. I'm happy.
In the back.
Yeah, probably. It's too much to take here.
Towards the end of the second day of driving, we arrived at the initial ascent up to our planned off-roading route. This would take us over 2 mountain passes and then into the Mezquital Valley of the state of Hidalgo. Climbing up the switchbacks, we marveled at how quickly the valley dropped away below us. And even though the road was narrow, we were able to just squeeze by a large rock that had tumbled into our path. Once we made it to where the pavement met the dirt, we knew that the upcoming road, though only about 15 miles long, was going to come with lots of elevation gain, narrow switchbacks, and questionable drivability. So we decided to camp for the night before tackling it early the next morning. We figured it might take a couple hours to navigate the drive, but that we could get to our destination in the late morning with plenty of time to enjoy it all afternoon. But rainy season had one more trick up its sleeve.
So unfortunately, hit a bit of a roadblock, and not easily drivable. I'm sure we could get across it. Hey, rescue! Look at that beautiful road. So the backhoe cleared the first mess, but apparently this road is like 40 kilometers. We are only, 10 kilometers in. Presumably we are the first 2 cars after that last rock slide to drive this. So there's a decent chance that we find another rock slide, and I don't know if they're going to be able to call the backhoe to drive all the way through this road, or if we'll just have to turn around or something like that if there's another mudslide. But yeah, the road, if you look at that, is, let's say, always changing.
As we rounded the next corner and found yet another pile of debris in our way, we decided to put the drone up and do a little scouting mission. It was clear immediately that the scale of the road damage was going to make for a long day of waiting around. But the backhoe operator seemed committed to the mission of clearing the way, and at this point we had driven 2 full days to get to this overlanding route,
and we were not about to turn around now. We essentially spent the day watching the machines. Yes, a second one eventually joined in. We would start the truck, drive a little ways down the road, and then hang out while they cleared the next slide path. Though this may seem like something that would have ruined our day, we were stoked to be driving on dirt, no matter how slowly. We've actually spent a lot of our time in mainland Mexico driving toll roads. Anyone you speak to will tell you that toll roads are not only the most direct and fastest way to get from point A to B, but they're also generally known to be the safest way to travel in this country. But to be truthful, the toll roads are expensive. And because they're major highways, you don't really get to see any of the local culture or feel like you're on much of an adventure. So even though this wasn't quite how we pictured our day going, we honestly had a lot of fun hanging out, chatting with the other folks who were waiting for things to open, and even sharing a couple tequila shots with the backhoe operators when they took a lunch break. Sorry, Mom.
Watching excavators on a drone. Another day on the road with Heather and Dana.
Could be worse. We could be stuck here without any entertainment.
I know, right? So there's the backhoe right there. There's at least 2 or 3 landslides going down. And then there's whatever that is down there. And there's those cars stopped at the base. Maybe that's where all these people came from. But looks impassable there too.
Side of the road lunch.
Yep. There's another rock slide up there. So we heated up some chili and we're just hanging out. We've come to realize we are not getting to Tolantango today. So we're just chilling. Hopefully we can get there tomorrow. Or maybe the next day, who knows? Big old rocks are getting knocked off behind us.
After nearly 7 hours of slow progress, the machines finally cleared the last section of damage and we were on our way. At this point, we still had a second mountain pass to drive, with only a couple more hours left of daylight. Though the road was still rough and slow, we were feeling confident and excited about the adventure ahead of us. But just when you're feeling a little bit badass for navigating a river crossing, a local on a moto is always there to humble you. Luckily, the bulk of the road damage seemed to be behind us, and we were able to enjoy a relatively easy journey through the rugged and beautiful terrain. Finally coming down onto the west side of the pass, with just a few minutes left of sunlight, we found a fantastic spot to make camp for the evening. Only a short and paved drive to the attraction we had intended to get to that morning.
Whew. That was a long day to go 30 kilometers. Oh.
The next morning, we made our way down to Grutas Tolantango, a box canyon that boasts an incredible hot springs resort built into the cliff walls. When we arrived, we found that the upper river and waterfall area was unfortunately closed due to the recent rain, but that the hot spring pools, which the park is most known for, were open. On this cool and overcast day, we were stoked to spend the morning soaking in some warm water. This place is definitely more of a resort than any other attraction we've visited in Mexico so far. Normally, we might be a little turned off by how built up and commercialized a place like this has become. But even us nature snobs have to admit, Grutas Tolantango is pretty damn incredible. As we wrap up this video, many of you may be questioning why we even came to this region during the rainy season. And to be honest, knowing what we know now, maybe we did time it a little poorly. But I think that's kind of the lesson for us here. Learning to make the most of a place at the wrong time is an important step for us on this Pan-American journey. A trip that will take us nearly 3 years from start to finish means that we can't possibly be everywhere during the perfect season. Yes, this past week was challenging from a travel standpoint. We pushed our truck to its limits, had to cut our time short in a place we had been looking forward to for months, and we had to practice a lot of patience and flexibility as our plans changed overnight. But we also got to experience this area during a time of year that many never do. The land was lush and green and alive with all of the moisture. The tourist destinations were quiet, if not empty. And if you take any stock in the saying that it's not a true adventure until something goes wrong, well, I think we can call this one a win. Because we're leaving this part of Mexico with a new appreciation for our own perseverance and teamwork. A confidence in our ability to pivot when things aren't working in our favor, and to do it mostly with a smile. And we have a whole lot of gratitude for the privilege of even getting ourselves into this mess in the first place. Because even on the toughest days, we know how lucky we are to be chasing this dream. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate every single like and comment, and we'd be stoked if you subscribe to follow along on our upcoming adventures. And if you've been here for a while, you may have noticed that my voice is not Dana's. He's taken on some more remote work to help fuel this trip, which means I'm in the driver's seat for these videos, at least for now. I've got big shoes to fill, and I'd love your feedback on how I'm doing. We've also got lots more content from our trip on Instagram and Patreon, so we'd love to see you over there as well. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you on the road.